And welcome to the second half of Chocobo Chasers. You just heard our interview with Scott Joseph, aka the Emperor, in Baldur's Gate 3. And what an awesome, fun time that was. We've talked about it multiple times, whether it be on our personal socials, whether it be on this show, or whether it be on the pod account. We are so lucky to be able to do what we do and talk to who we've been lucky enough to be able to talk to. Also, a huge shout out to Sam Bayart, who has been really instrumental in helping us communicate with other members of the Baldur's Gate 3 cast. Wink, wink, keep your eyes open. Just an absolutely lovely individual. Sam, if you're listening, we love you, and we can't wait to see what you're working on next. We have a lot of I'd say pretty crazy news going on this week, and a lot of releases that are pretty big. So let's jump right into it, honestly. First things first, what are you playing? I'm going to kick us off this week. I have been cycling through 3 different games this week, and it's a pretty healthy mix, actually, of all 3. The first one is actually 4 technically. Gosh, I finished Resident Evil 7. Gosh, what an excellent horror game it is. Shout out to Jesse Pimentel, who plays Lucas Baker, did an amazing job in that. Been playing Spider-Man. I have the platinum trophy, but it's not at 100%, so it's just bothering the shit out of me, and I have to get these final 2 trophies. I literally just have to beat it on the hardest difficulty on New Game Plus. I'm about halfway through the game. Should be able to pretty easily get it done by the time Spider-Man 2 rolls around. So that's pretty awesome. Also, I finished my playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077 last night, literally right before the expansion was available to download. And literally right after we're done with this, I'm going to go play it. So I'm super excited. I got probably the absolute worst ending in Cyberpunk that you could possibly get, and I will never make that decision ever again, but I was really just trying to get through the story and prevented me with very limited options. Would not recommend. As far as a storytelling perspective, man, I feel so bad for V. And then I also have been playing another game, which I haven't really talked about too much on the pod, Lies of P. I will say this, if Bloodborne ever had a sequel, this is like the closest I think that we'll ever get to that. From a aesthetic standpoint, from gameplay, so there's not character creation. You play as Pinocchio, an unnamed Pinocchio. And it's this, instead of being very Lovecraftian like Bloodborne is, it's much more steampunk-esque. And the things that you're fighting are other puppets who have basically gone rogue and killed all of the people, taken over this town. But Geppetto is in the game, and it is very reminiscent of Bloodborne. But it does have a few gameplay mechanics which are fresh and really make the game different. So as customary in any Soulsborne game, you'll have your main hand weapon. In my case, it's a rapier. But on your off arm, you have the ability to switch out your arm, almost like Winter Soldier-esque, and those different arms can have different abilities. One has a hook shot, basically, which brings enemies to you. One shoots flames, one shoots a missile out, one shoots an electric shock out. Just the way that it's formulated is so cool. This might make its way into my Game of the Year ranks. It's not going to win Game of the Year, but easily becoming one of the top 5 things I've played this year. Just totally flew under the radar, and that's going to happen in a year like this where there's so many incredibly strong contenders. But yeah, that's what I'm playing. Eric, what about you, man? What are you playing?
So I am also playing Cyberpunk, not even remotely close to being done with the story. I am just now getting to the part where you get the relic.
Okay.
So that I did that. I played that on Saturday morning, mostly did that one. And I've been playing some Valorant, running some comp games with the boys, getting shit on because I'm not good at the game. It's miserable, but it's also a lot of fun because I mean it's just you game with the boys.
Exactly. Dash, what are you playing?
Well, to start off with, I finally finished Starfield, so did the full completion, did like all the faction quests and the main quest line, so not gonna worry about all those little side quests I neglected in brute forcing my way through the game, but I'm done. I can say I beat it, and now I can move on to other things and maybe come back for the new game plus mode at some other time. But for now, there's too much on my plate, and I don't want to play more Starfield. I've already put in like 70, 80 hours in this game, and
Wow.
I am ready to move on. I mean, it's a good game, but I need something else now. It gets kind of
It's monotonous a little bit.
yes, and I'm sure we can just do our like final verdicts on these kind of games and like the game of year discussions and stuff like that on
Yeah.
strong points, weak points, that kind of stuff. But like Vanguard and Crimson Fleet quest lines are pretty good. Freestar was a bit good too, probably not as good as the other two though, I'd say. And Ryojin, it was just there.
It was there.
Yeah. Like it was more about stealth, sneaking, that kind of stuff. And but the like until you get to like those final quests, all the quests were just basically go here, steal this, hack this kind of stuff. It wasn't really storyline engaging up to that point. Main quest was pretty awesome near the end.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like one mission I kind of said it was like Titanfall 2-esque. And I mean, if you know Titanfall 2, you might get an idea of what to expect from that. So it was that was probably the coolest quest in the whole game, in my opinion.
That's my favorite one as well.
Ending
High praise.
yeah, I mean the ending got pretty interesting. I mean, I'm just kind of curious what happens if I didn't go through with it or something like that, but maybe I'll Google it. But I mean, there's like a interesting concepts that come out of it, and I'm curious what happens because like when you do the new game plus, you can just say, oh, let's do the main quest over again, or you can even skip it. It gives you like additional dialogue choices. I think it's like one of those key NPCs that you meet for the ending. You can meet like in the beginning of the game, if I remember. Like, I'm trying to remember if I saw because
So
like
there's like all kinds of different ways. Like you could come back and like there's just like the constellation can be totally destroyed and
really,
yeah, or you could meet like other versions of your character and shit like that.
whoa.
It's rare chances from what I've read, but like it's possible.
Which is it's a shame that they hide that kind of stuff. It basically forces you to have to keep retrying it. It's like a rare Pokemon. It's like you gotta just keep on beating the game over and over again just to be able to experience something rare.
I mean, that's their hope that you
Yeah.
just keep playing it over and because you'll see one person stream that they got this miracle happening in their playthrough, and you're like, man, I really want to experience that. So
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that it's not always like, oh, this is guaranteed on the third playthrough, and if you keep doing this, it's gonna get worse and worse and stuff like that. But it's good. It's very good.
It's definitely makes New Game Plus more interesting the way they handle it. Like you said, it's not just, oh, you start the game over with all your abilities. No, that there's new story nuances you can add to it because
New dialogue options
Yep.
because of your choice and things like
Yep.
that. It's very good.
yeah. So I'm looking forward to maybe seeing what that does, but that's gonna be a long ways away because we got a loaded game slate coming up, and I got
We do.
games I got some
Spider-Man 2.
Yep. Goal is to probably get Cyberpunk 2077 finished by that point, which
yeah, you can.
that is my next point is that I started Cyberpunk 2077 tonight. So I beat Starfield like probably around 7 o'clock-ish, and then I jumped into Cyberpunk right after that and got about an hour, 2 hours in. Not too far. I mean, basically just made my character do like the opening mission and like where you get the body with Jackie, and then now we're going to go see a Ripper Doc. So not too far in the game, but this will be my first time experiencing the game, and at least I won't have the sour taste of having experienced it prior to the 2.0 patch.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were kind of talking about it before stream, right? Playing Cyberpunk right after Starfield, it's really
It's night and
refreshing.
day.
Yes, it's really refreshing, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
Starfield gets very monotonous, and now Cyberpunk just feels like a breath of fresh air, and everything about it feels like gunplay wise, gameplay, even like visuals, it looks better, I'd
It's
say.
crispy for sure.
Yeah.
It's
So, yeah. Also, along with that, we got Mortal Kombat 1, ran through the story mode. That took about 6 hours, and did some of the invasion game modes. So that was about, I think that's kind of like their way of doing the seasonal content. So that's how you unlock some more cosmetics. Not sure how long it's going to take to unlock everything with the invasion mode, and how much time I'm going to dedicate to that, because it's
right.
going to suck if I miss out on something because I didn't play it enough. But there's like 60 days for it, so we'll see.
Okay.
But I think we're going to do our review of Mortal Kombat 1 later, so I
We
can
will.
probably dive in more about my experience with that.
Yeah.
And also, the final game I played a bit more of was Ghost of Tsushima. Finally got to Act 2, so you can stop yelling at me about taking my time. We met our boy Norio, so shout out to
Earl T. Kim,
Yeah.
our man.
I gotta give him credit, because when you interview him, his voice is not the same as Norio's, and you can't even it's like, that's the same guy I talked to. It's amazing.
It's just one of the many talents of being an actor in this industry. It's pretty insane how different people can sound.
Oh yeah, give this man more roles, please. He's so great. But anyways, that's it for me.
Awesome. So I mean, we've got a pretty healthy mix of games going on. One constant definitely is Cyberpunk, and that actually leads us perfectly into what we're going to talk about next year, which is Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty is officially out now. Eric is on his way to finishing his playthrough. Dash is doing his. I'm going to start Phantom Liberty tonight, so I'm assuming I'll probably be finished by the time we talk next week, and I'll have some stuff to say about it. Reviews were really, really strong. And to be fair, reviews were really strong for Cyberpunk upon its release. Despite all of the technical bugs, and there were many, like we cannot discount how basically almost unplayable Cyberpunk was to start. But despite those things, it was reviewed incredibly well. And one thing that consistently shined through, even with bugs, is the game is incredibly well acted. Whether you're Fem V or the male V, just both honestly really, really well done. Your co-stars, Keanu is great as Johnny Silverhand, Jackie, Hannah Palmer, Vic, the Ripper Doc,
Beauty, River.
Yeah, River,
What's
Goro Takamura. Like there's so many different people who play big parts in the game, and it's great. And so Phantom Liberty and 2.0 are out now. 2.0 has provided a lot more new game content in terms of kind of making the game what it was originally intended to be. We've kind of talked about it a lot on some of our previous episodes, so I won't get too much into that, but it is refreshing for everybody to kind of experience this game 3 years after release, kind of what it actually was intended to be. And I think I speak for all of us. We're really excited to dive into Phantom Liberty, see Idris Elba's character in the game, get to explore a whole new area in Dogtown. And we were even talking about prior to the show, CD Projekt Red is really, really good. One with environments, they're really good with characters and storylines. Ken Block passed away earlier, either this year or late last year. And as a sign of respect and kind of a monument to him, they have created a vehicle in game, which is like one of the best vehicles in the expansion. Ken Block was a rally race car driver, among many other things. And it's just a kind of a huge sign of respect and just a show of admiration for him. So really cool from the CDPR team. I'm honestly just really, really excited to be able to jump into this. In addition to Cyberpunk, we had another expansion drop this week, Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways, playing as Ada Wong. I have also purchased this, and this is what I'm going to play right after Phantom Liberty. It is going to be a busy time leading right up into Spider-Man 2. Resident Evil Separate Ways also reviewed incredibly well. And with some people calling it the greatest Resident Evil expansion ever, that it expands upon the original Separate Ways and is just a really great DLC. And it's only $10 for the amount of content you're getting for it. That's really great, honestly.
I might just pick it up right now.
I mean, I'm not gonna stop you. But honestly, it's very exciting in the gaming sphere right now. Like, we are nearing the end of 2023 and what has been a just momentous year in gaming. We started off the year with heavy hitters, and we are here now. I mean, it is going to be an insane game of the year race. We've talked about it previously in terms of like the media. It's probably a 2-game race right now between Baldur's Gate 3 and Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Spider-Man 2 can absolutely enter that conversation. I think Starfield is going to be there, but I think it's
going to be mentioned just by...
It's going to be mentioned in the breath, right? It's just not going to be the favorite, though. And I think that's good for good reason. Like, it didn't stick with me. I am going to give it another shot later down the road. But even those who are fans of Bethesda games, it's Fallout in space. And while that is exactly what a lot of people are looking for, it doesn't necessarily expand like, and I think a lot of people weren't necessarily expecting it to, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. And I think its strongest part is its least utilized, which is the space parts. Like, right. It just felt like a way to get around, and then you get into a skybox. Maybe there's a ship there to fight, but usually there isn't, and then you just go land. You have to go out of your way to fight in space, basically.
Right. So, Eric, before I go ahead, we're gonna do Dash's review of Mortal Kombat 1. I wanted to get your thoughts. You've played Cyberpunk prior to the 2.0 update. What are your thoughts on it so far?
Well, the revamped police system is awesome because you used to be able to just go commit crimes and you could go 2 streets over and the cops would leave you alone. Now I went on a whole street side police chase and they fucking smoked me. They put me in the goddamn dirt. I had no chance because it was really low level and I accidentally ran over. So it was a net runner, had like a skull above his head. I'm like, oh, I guess I didn't realize that might have been just a way too OP guy for me to fight. And I was like, let me fuck this dude up. Nah, dude, he's just like a police officer net runner. And then all of a sudden, like, I just had 3 stars right away and they were just on my ass. And the vehicle combat's pretty cool. That's fun. That is pretty much how I got put in the dirt. They just shot my jalopy that you start out with all to hell, and it blew my vehicle up. I do like there's certain things that you can level up. Like if you get headshots, like you level up different perks and stuff like that.
That skill point stuff, right?
Yeah, the skill points. And that levels up. It does look like they changed up the leveling system a little bit.
So that wasn't in the original game then?
Not the skill points were not.
Okay.
They were not. It was
so like the regular headhunter to solo.
Yeah, that wasn't in there. And as much as I do enjoy the gunplay a lot, it just feels a lot slower than the first time.
It does feel, yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And that might just be because we are coming from games that were so fast paced. we mentioned that Starfield definitely had some id Software influence a little bit, just in terms of their gunplay, like, and Doom is like the fastest game in terms of gunplay that I've ever played in my life. But I would agree with that, and I'm wondering if that is by design. One, to give people kind of more of an emphasis on using their hacking abilities. I know that I definitely use my hacking quite a bit more this time.
I didn't
through.
use it much at all the first time.
Oh,
Mostly
wow.
I would overheat people every now and then, or I'd ping stuff, like I'd ping cameras and shit like that when you had to sneak. But really, I would overheat people, or I would there was one you can unlock where it would just set people on fire, and it was awesome. And you just see people running around on fire in the middle of a gunfight, and that was badass. And then I would just shotgun them in the face.
What do you main with as your 3 weapons?
Usually a pistol. Right now it's a legendary pistol you get from the first gun vendor.
Okay.
I'm rocking that one, a double barrel shotgun just because that's so satisfying, and then an assault rifle.
Okay. So there is, in the Beat on the Brat, the boxing missions, there is a guy that you fight, and you can get his sniper rifle, and it is like a tier 3 legendary. It's so good. But I feel like it wasn't this way in the original game. It has it's not a perk, it's like an anti-perk where it makes you incredibly heavy, and so you can't sprint with it. And I think that's because it did make it a little bit OP, because only has a 3-round magazine, and you could just, unload on these people and the rounds explode. Like, I understand why they did it. It just sucks a little bit.
Did it have the night vision scope on it, or was that a different sniper?
I think that's a different one, but I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is so good. I usually rock that, and then I have this, like, it almost looks like a plasma rifle, but it fires in 3-round bursts. The weapon design is pretty cool looking in this game. One thing
it's very unique.
I will say, and the use of melee weapons is really fun. I always have a katana on me, and
I used a lot of Manus arms.
Okay.
First go around. That was awesome.
Use your Ripper Doc, Dash, because there are some insanely cool perks that you can get.
They made the razor wire viable this go round, I think, is from what because I mean it was fucking worthless the first go round. Gorilla Arms was pretty cool. I felt Gorilla Arms was pretty worth it. Like, I thought Gorilla Arms would help you, like, just open doors that were locked, but it really didn't. It just looked cool sometimes.
Yeah. No, they did a really good job expanding on everything, I feel like. So, Dash, we are coming to you now. You are the man of the moment. You are the only one of us who has played Mortal Kombat 1. I think partly just because I don't know that Eric and I are big Mortal Kombat guys.
I'm not.
Or fighting games in general, or
fighting games in general.
I like fighting games. I'm a more narrative driven guy, and so it is kind of hard to put those two together a little bit. So I don't necessarily love like the platform based fighting it like Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Soul Calibur. I do like Soul Calibur, but that's because I really like their roster of characters. I like a game like Sifu, which is a technically a fighting game, but it's kind of different in the fact that it's very environment, so you get to use everything kind of around you as well, and it's in a 3D space. So yeah, MK, not necessarily my bag, but I have enjoyed many a MK over my lifetime, like Team Scorpion for life.
Oh yeah.
Wanted to get your take on so you finished MK1 story.
Yeah.
On a 1 to 10 scale, what are you giving it?
I didn't really think about what I would give it on a number scale. I mean, it's good. I guess it wasn't there. I guess there's some stuff it could have done better, but maybe I'd give it like an 8.
Okay, I mean that's solid. We've talked about it plenty. Yeah, 7 to 8 games are needed. So
yeah, I mean, story wise, it's an 8. Gameplay wise, it's a 10. I mean, it's a pretty solid fighting game, and the cameo system they brought into it adds a whole nother layer to it. I mean, if you go online, you can see people doing some pretty sick combos just because adding that cameo can enhance your combo and you can juggle someone for 50% of their health.
That's pretty wild.
I'm not sure if because I think a lot of the cameo characters actually have a significant number of abilities, and then like when you're playing the story mode, you get characters that you can't use as cameo outside of that story. So I
Okay.
wonder if those cameo characters that are story exclusive are limited in their abilities, because the ones that you can use outside of story mode can do a lot more. But I mean, story wise, it kind of plays just like it has ever since Mortal Kombat 9. You do about like 4 fights with one character, and then it proceeds to do like the next chapter, and you're just kind of doing, you're switching characters as you go, getting different perspectives, but the story is pretty seamless as it goes on. I don't want to spoil too many of the plot points because the later act of the game gets pretty crazy and it's kind of like what I thought it would be, So it's a reboot, but it's also a sequel because you have Liu Kang, who's the god of time now, and it proceeds basically right after the events of Mortal Kombat 11, where he's the god of time now and he creates his new universe. So game starts off with Shang Tsung in this new era. He's just a snake oil salesman, basically. He's not a sorcerer because Liu Kang made it so that basically characters like him would be brought into power to cause any kind of disruption. Like Quan Chi was basically a mine worker, but someone comes in and basically reveals to Shang Tsung, it's like, this is what you could have been, and basically sets him back on that path to be, the main antagonist. But he's not the main antagonist of the story. I'll just say that he's being driven by someone else, and they make you believe it's one person, but it's a
the old switcheroo.
Yes, and it's a crazy one, and that's where the craziness of the Act 3 comes in. So, and it's pretty fun playing some of the characters. So, like, you'll play like Kun Lao and Raiden before he gets like his electric ability. So all your combos basically are just physical. You don't have any of your
abilities or anything like
and
that.
it's kind of fun playing that way, I'm not gonna lie. But once you unlock them, then it opens up a whole nother list of abilities that you can finally use.
Yeah, it's really Mortal Kombat at that point.
Everybody's like, it visually looks great. I mean, you got some fantastic environments. They got rid of like the whole environmental interaction part that we had in previous games, but I think the cameo covers it better, and we don't really need it anymore. I'm not sure in terms of customization. I haven't unlocked too much customizable stuff, but I think Mortal Kombat 11 might have had better customization, honestly, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, with the invasion system, like I said, that's basically your way of unlocking all the seasonal content, and the more you use characters, those characters level up, and basically by leveling up you unlock more cosmetics for them. So we'll see how it goes. I think you also unlock more fatalities.
Cool.
It's at least there's kind of like I'm not sure if you can unlock cosmetics through this dragon shrine, but you earn currency in the game basically, and then you'll use it at the dragon shrine, and it'll give you like concept art, soundtracks, it's stage design stuff. I'm always wonder if cosmetics are part of it, but we'll see. Still have to go through and do like the towers, which are kind of like the additional story. You go through the whole tower and you get the official ending for the character, and I'm assuming you'll probably unlock stuff doing that too. But the best part of this story is that final chapter, and I really don't want to say anything other than it's pure chaos. And this is probably the best final chapter I've had in a fighting game ever. And unlike previous Mortal Kombat games where it's like you play as whoever they force you to, there wasn't like the super strong bullshit boss like there usually was at the end of the game. But I mean, playing through that crazy, I might have to go back and play that final chapter again with a different character and see if there's any differences, because they just throw so much at you in that final chapter. And that's probably where my favorite thing. There's some interesting people that you fight. I don't think they'll ever be playable, but with the way they are, but
You never know.
it's yeah. And they either they it could just be further setup for maybe the invasions or
Or MK2.
or a DLC, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely room for an opening. They handled a lot of the new character origins very well. Like you had like Shao Kahn. He's a general instead of being the great conqueror. Of course, he ends up being one of the antagonist roles in the game regardless, but he wasn't like the main antagonist.
Right.
Actually, the most interesting thing was Scorpion isn't Hanzo Shatori, I believe the name is.
Yeah.
So it's actually the second Sub-Zero in the main universe. It's the brother of Sub-Zero is Scorpion in this universe. But Bihan is still Bihan. He's very arrogant and headstrong kind of one. Like in Hua Lian is the more honorable brother that wants to stay true to certain ways. But I think at the end of like one of the storylines, we actually do get a teaser for Hanzo, or Shator. So, I wonder how they're going to implement his character in the future if there's already a Scorpion, but we'll see how But I mean, definitely a solid entry in the Mortal Kombat universe. Looking forward to what kind of DLC we'll get. The interesting part is like we already know the first DLC, and I don't even think it has a release date yet, which is ridiculous. And 2 of those characters you fight multiple times in the story mode. You fight Ermac and you fight Quan Chi. Those characters are done. Those characters are ready, but those are characters they held out of the main game to put in this DLC.
So
Ermac not being in is whack.
So that they can make you pay for it.
Yeah.
Well, as you've heard from Dash, MK is pretty solid entry. It's not going to be a world beater by any means, but it definitely reinvents the wheel a little bit in terms of MK mechanics and some new features, and it sounds like just honestly a fun game.
Oh yeah.
So Baldur's Gate 3, the game that we can't talk about enough, honestly, have got its next huge update, and we won't touch on this too much, but I just wanted to touch on the fact that I feel like by the time we all play this game again, it's going to be so different, and I'm honestly really excited for that. I think it's going to be awesome to jump in and see so many new changes, because they're always just looking to try and improve the game and add new things. I know the new magic mirror feature they added is pretty awesome.
Really awesome. Yeah.
Being able to change your appearance at any time is really dope. So that's
justice for His Majesty.
Yeah.
Why would I apparently it was always intended for His Majesty to have hair, but I liked it better with
the naked cat,
a sphinx. Like, come on, give us more sphinxes. It was adorable.
It's gonna be
big naked cat guy.
I am the non-naked cat guy. Just they
you
look
ever felt
like
one?
No, they look like big,
Man,
nasty gerbils.
It feels like just like a smooth penis. That's what it feels like.
Oh my god! Hey, you've sold me, Eric. I need to touch this cat now.
G wants 2 now.
Ooh, a smooth penis, you say?
Oh my god! So
that's a clip, I guess.
Yeah, that's going to the TikTok for sure. So in great news, Eric actually touched on this earlier in our Discord. Sony was hacked again, which fucking blows, because one, Sony, get your shit together.
How many times since 06?
Yeah, I remember the first
last time
we ever got hacked, they gave us 3 free games because of it. And now they're just like, oh, they got your stuff. It's all right. Like,
they've already had your stuff.
Yeah, they had your stuff. We're just we're just confirming the billing details with them. It's all right. But
You don't like your identity stolen? Go outside. It's the baby Billy meme. Go outside,
yeah,
nerd.
go outside, nerd. Just honestly, Sony. Why is Sony the only company I feel like that this happens to?
That's what I was going to bring
They
up.
aren't,
Just...
but I mean,
They
it's
aren't,
made-
but
they have the worst hackings. I
yeah,
think
they have
'cause-
large scale hacks, and I feel like it happens more often with them than it does other places.
Most people probably don't want to fuck with Microsoft, because if they're going to go hack Microsoft, why are you worried about Xbox? Because Microsoft has all those defense contracts and shit
Well, they've got
for cloud storage and stuff.
Yeah, and they've got so many different workplaces operate on like Microsoft Teams and like that data. My job does, so like,
yeah,
and we're a software company, so definitely not something they would want to go ahead and have happen. But it's just like, it's wild to me that they continue to let this happen, and there's no remedy for us as the people who are affected by it. I mean, like I said, that first time they gave away 3 free games. I remember it was so dope. I got to play Infamous for the first time after it happened. I was like,
yeah, that was like the
2011
one, right?
I think Eric was 2006.
Well, no, that's what it came out in like 06, 07. So it didn't happen right away, but it happened early on in the PS3's life cycle, I thought.
Yeah, because I was still in junior high or high school when it happened, and I remember it. I mean, it was a big deal, but anybody who had a PlayStation ID, they were welcome to go ahead and receive those benefits, and it was.
They got hacked in 14 because they wanted to halt the release of the movie The Interview. I don't know if y'all remember that.
Yeah. That was the movie I was going to start World War III.
They were hacked in 2011. I think it was the first time.
Oh my hell.
There's another time in 2017, but I think that was just social media accounts. And then this one's a full system breach, which is probably the worst that's happened to them yet.
It's 2023. Like, fucking get your act together in terms of cybersecurity. It's baffling to me that this still continues to happen to a company on this scale. And so I thought we'd bring it up because, one, it's just funny to laugh because.
Keep an eye on your shit if y'all have Sony profiles. Fortunately, I looked, the card I still had on my Sony profile was canceled because somebody ran $8,000 up at Ticketmaster one day.
Eric was going to see Taylor Swift. He just didn't want to tell anybody.
Somebody else was going to see Taylor Swift. I have no problem saying if I'm going to see Taylor Swift. I should, but I am not. $8,000? Fuck that, dude.
So, speaking of misleading, I guess in this case, we found out about an article that was published by Kotaku about a fan who has started a class action lawsuit against Aspyr for the Switch release of Knights of the Old Republic 2 and its missing content. I laughed a little bit when I read this, and it's also kind of sad just because.
Go outside, nerd.
Yeah, we're never getting KOTOR remake. We are never getting additional KOTOR content.
Not from Aspyr.
No.
At this point, yeah.
I just I don't know what to say. Like, how can you trust this company to remake arguably the most beloved game in RPG history? You know, if I'm putting games in that context, I'm thinking Mass Effect. I'm thinking KOTOR. I am thinking Skyrim. I'm thinking The Witcher 3. Like, just of these worlds that have been so groundbreaking in gaming, and you ignite the flame that is the hype machine on this PlayStation showcase when they originally announced the KOTOR remake, and then it comes out afterwards. Aspyr's making it, and it's like, but PlayStation put their faith in them. They have such a great track record right now. Like, they must have seen something that has led them to believe this is going to be a successful thing. And here we are. I mean, it's been 2-3 years since that point. No further details. Rafael Sparge confirmed in our interview that it's basically dead on arrival right now, and that doesn't mean that it is never going to come out. It probably is never going to come out, but there is still some semblance of hope. But I think we've got to be realistic at this point. It's done so.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's going to be. I mean, I don't think this kind of like lawsuit would even be able to go through or have any legs to stand on, because usually these companies are very good about having disclaimers saying, you know, features are subject to change and stuff like that. I mean, just because they say that they intend to bring something doesn't mean it's guaranteed, and they have no legal reason to have to go forward to it.
One thing that's really interesting about it is because he bought the game and he's suing them for fake advertising, because he bought the game, never actually played it, because he was waiting for this restored content DLC before starting the game. So obviously the game comes to the Switch and they say, we're going to bring this content later. Doesn't actually come. Well, and so then they say that they're going to go ahead and do like a partial refund for the missing content, and then they didn't give that to him as well. So I think there is some deceptive practices in here, but you're right. I'm sure that there is a whole bunch of legal jargon and things that are, you know.
I mean, these companies are always good with making sure that at least they keep. I mean, I hope you know, like, because there is some scummy practices in the gaming industry where they make false promises, especially with those little Kickstarter ones where they take the money and they flee because they don't have to deliver anything after that point. Like, there's some games that never got fully released. They got all this crowdfunded money and then the developers just ran. It was what was that one? It was like Portal Knights, or not Portal Knights. It was a weird one. It was like I don't remember seeing it on Steam at one point, but it's like little yellow people basically. Game never got finished. And if you go in the Steam reviews, basically everybody, it was like an early access game. Everybody's just like, yeah, the devs, no updates. Devs took the money and ran. And
Despicable Me, the game.
I kind of joke that sometimes Star Citizen is like that, but I mean, we still see them actually provide updates.
Like Alpha 3.2 or something like that. They've made $1 billion in Alpha, which is insane. People are.
Is it $1 billion? I thought it was 600 million.
I thought it was $1 billion.
Hey, that's regardless, dude. 600 million, $1 billion. That's a fuckload of money.
That's an Uncle. Yeah, that's an Uncle Baby Billy level grift right there.
Like, I mean, 600 million for how long the game has been in development. I mean, that's like how many years has it been in development? Because
I gotta pay the guys in white coats, the researchers, you know, the game designers. Nobody knows these things.
Like, depending on how many people are working on this game, I mean, they could probably still be in the red even with 600 million.
I just don't see it though. I don't know how you could be. I mean, they have, so as of September 22, they've made 500 million. So that the 600 million is probably pretty close there. And they did receive at least 60 million last year. So that's just insane to me that is how they're managing that. And it's insane to me that people keep giving them money. But
I mean, I think I've seen like gameplay videos. People can play like a early version of the game, right? So I mean,
it's got a pretty big community.
Yeah. And it looks good for it being an alpha. Like, I think this is a game that could do so much, and I think it's an ambitious game, right? And that's exactly why it might be taking this amount of time. And I'm not sure, like I said, how big is this team that's working on it? And they're actually getting some star power to voice some of these characters too.
Yeah.
So I mean, and then now they're also working on like a FPS game or something that like Squadron 413 or something like that.
I think Squadron 42.
Yeah, like there's a whole nother game that they're adding on to this too. It's gonna be. I'm looking forward to seeing how this final product's gonna be, because it's either gonna be like the best space sim ever, or it's going to be the biggest disappointment ever. There's no in between.
So one final thing that we wanted to kind of touch on before we go ahead and close tonight is so we got a little bit more information about Metal Gear Solid. So Metal Gear Collection is coming out, I believe, in October. So we're right around the corner, which is just another game to add into this impressive slate of games coming out in 2023. Kind of a sucky little bit of news is that all of the Metal Gear games on the collection are locked to 30 FPS. It's not like the absolute worst thing because they are older games. It's not like they're going to take major advantage of 60 FPS and you're going to notice like this game is so much better because of this. No, but we have the technology and it is like quality of life kind of a thing.
Aren't they calling it an HD collection too?
Well, from what I understand, it's just going to basically be ports of like the PS3 version of the Metal Gear collection. So don't hold your breath for like anything amazing. This is Konami we're talking about. Like,
yeah, I thought Konami was kind of going to a better direction, and then they pull this shit. I'm like, oh, there's Konami.
It's hard because there are instances where it does feel that way. So Silent Hill 2 Remake looked absolutely awesome from the very limited information we've seen of it so far. Graphically, it looks amazing. The fact that it's being made by Bloober Team is, but we'll have to wait until obviously a finished product comes out. The new Silent Hill games, because there are plural, are interesting. And some of them are being developed by Konami, and some of them are, the IP is owned by Konami, but they're letting other developers kind of get their take on new and fresh things. And some of it, like the feudal Japan Silent Hill, looks awesome. That's definitely something I'd love to explore and get a better look at once we do start seeing more information. So
yeah, it seems like they're going to get really experimental with it, because there's that is it like on a Perna one that there's like a one that it's like they only tease like it was like a radio and a TV,
right,
and then there's that lot. It's not going to be a game. It seems like it's going to be more like a
group experience kind of a thing. Yeah.
So I'm assuming they're going to stream it online, and then people get to vote, and then it's just gonna the next episode's gonna come based on that vote, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of a choose your own adventure, but via crowdsourcing. So it's going to be very interesting. And I don't know if maybe they'll do multiple playthroughs so we can try different things or how they're going to do that. But it's Konami is Konami. Like, we can't really expect them to change too much at this point. But what are you going to do? So I think that is kind of everything that we had to talk. Am I missing anything? Anything else you guys wanted to touch on before we go ahead and close out tonight?
Modern Warfare 2 Season 6. How about those skins? Actually, I think it starts tomorrow too. So, like,
the Spawn skin did look fucking awesome.
It does look awesome.
The whole season is Spawn themed. So, like, all the skins you unlocked are like related to Spawn, and then they're gonna obviously do a whole bunch of other skins that you can buy, probably for like $20 each. Like, but I mean, some of these skins are gonna probably be worth it. And if I was playing Modern Warfare 2 still, which I might jump back in once or twice just to grab the skins, we're getting Ash Williams from Evil Dead. We're getting Alucard from Hellsing. What else? Oh yeah, Lilith and Inarius from Diablo.
Spawn, the Clown, and the Violator from Spawn.
Yep. There's one. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm missing one more. That was like, wow.
Let's see.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google it real quick.
And Skeletor.
Oh yes, that was it. Skeletor. Like, they're turning in Modern Warfare 2 in the Fortnite, and I kind of love it for that, because you gotta have fun with these skins. It's not always. I know, like, we usually always, like, they did the boys and they had like the celebrity skins like Snoop Dogg and Nicki Minaj, but now we're actually getting like pop culture stuff, which they've done in the past, but they do it very limited and only in like Halloween. It seems it's always October that they bring the fun skins.
Yeah, and honestly, I expect this to be very popular, and assuming that it is within Modern Warfare 3, I bet we'll get a huge influx of more events like this.
That
So
it's like crossovers seem to be kind of like the new standard of the gaming industry. Like it used to just be, all these franchises just kept to themselves. And I know Japan kind of popularized the whole crossover theme because they do it all the time with their mobile games and other games. Like even Final Fantasy 15 had an Assassin's Creed crossover.
yeah,
I mean, there's they can get creative with this stuff now, and now Fortnite's
can.
just like the king of it.
Yeah, it's wild to see how much collaboration there is going on between all of these companies, and it's something to be excited for. I think we're going to see a lot more of it, and especially in these larger multiplayer online games, that's going to be the main thing where you do go ahead and see it. So definitely something to kind of be excited for. Anything else you guys wanted to cover?
That's it for me.
All right. Well, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. For everybody listening, stay tuned because we are super, super excited for our guest. We have 3 interviews.
We've got
next
some
week,
bangers. We got some
and
bangers.
we are jazzed as fuck to share with you guys who these are. One we've been working on for a while, and we were able to finally get in touch with this individual, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to come on. And so we're so stoked. So stay tuned next week, really the next 3 weeks, and stay tuned always because we're giving you some fun
We're
content.
fucking awesome.
I think with the strikes ending soon, we might line up some more.
It's definitely true. So stay tuned because we are going to be coming to you with new content weekly, and we'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks so much for listening.
Have a good one.
Yep. Thank y'all.